and I do a front flip. I landed on the back of my shoulders. I remember I couldn't breathe. Today, I wanted to share my story about my motorcycle accident. I've seen many accidents in my short 3 years of riding. Most of the riders that I've heard go down are able to walk away. Unfortunately, that was not my case. This accident ended with a broken back. 87 days later, I'm still in recovery, but I have some good news to share at the end of this video. So keep watching, and I promise it's a good ending. On June 20th, with 3 of my friends, we were on our way up there and I stopped to get gas. Travel went fine. This was my first day that I have ever trailered my bike up to Blood Mountain. Thank God I did. And we parked, unloaded the bikes, and we were heading up to the mountain. If you're not familiar with Blood, there's a 2-mile stretch, approximate, of roadway that motorcyclists go up and down all the time. Always following the speed limit, never doing wheelies, never going above their means. But at the very top of Blood Mountain, there is a little convenience store that everyone goes to congregate at, and it's called Mountains Crossing. So this particular day, we were going up. We actually went up to Blood Mountain to meet up with some friends at Mountains Crossing. And while we were going up Blood, I thought to myself, you're going a lot faster than me, and I really don't know Blood as well as I'd like to. I'm just gonna keep going, and I'm gonna get to know the road better. And that's exactly what I did. We went up to Mountains Crossing. My friends stopped to take pictures, hang out, whatever, but I kept going. So I turned back around. So I went down the mountain and then turned back around to go up. Past Mountains Crossing again, then went back down the mountain, and I never came back. I was riding down, and this is the first hairpin left turn going on the way down. On the way down, there's a single lane on the right side, but there's double lane on the left side. So going up, you can really haul ass while going the speed limit, but going down, you have to be a little bit more careful because this is a very high risk turn. A lot of accidents happen in this turn, specifically another accident a day later. My friend went down in the same turn. A week before my accident, another friend went down in that turn. And then that turn just a few days ago took someone's life. So I was going through the turn, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, go very slow. I was going about 50 to 55% of my skill level. As far as I want to remember, I think I was only going 35 miles an hour. I remember choosing my line. I was taking a wide line through the turn. All I remember is being on my motorcycle, going through the turn, looking through the turn. Then my head drags the pavement. I can remember the distinct sound of my helmet dragging the pavement, my gloves dragging the pavement. We looked at it. I was dragging for about 15 to 20 feet. I went feet first into the ditch. The ditch itself is about 15 to 20 feet deep. I may be over exaggerating, but it's more like a ravine than a ditch. I did end up missing the guardrail by about 3 feet as I went down. My feet catch the edge of the ditch and I do a front flip. I landed on the back of my shoulders. I remember the immediate feeling of I couldn't breathe. I felt my back break, but I didn't know that's what it was. I tumbled. I flipped probably 2 times. Then I finally stopped moving. Immediately, I couldn't move a muscle. When I stopped, I started screaming. The bloody murder, I'm gonna die scream. I sat there screaming until I realized what had happened. While I was processing it, I calmed myself down. When I was breathing, it's like as I was exhaling, my vocal cords enacted. So my breathing ended up being over over and over and over again. These are the minor details that I can remember that still haunt me at night when I go to bed, on my way home from work, when I have to tell the story over and over again to coworkers, which that's what happened on my first day of work about 2 weeks ago. Anyway, I paused for a second as I was breathing, that really obnoxious, scary sound of my breath. I started thinking to myself, okay, what can I move? I moved my fingers. Okay, can I move my toes? Yes, I moved my toes. Okay, can I move my extremities? My arms moved. I could get one of my legs to move, but not the other. So I was like, okay, let's try again. So each time I tried, I could move it a little bit more and more. It's like, okay, I'm good. Did anyone see me? I looked around and realized how far down I was. I know for a fact that I was alone on the road when I was going back and forth doing my rounds, studying the road. So no one saw me go down. But as I was looking around, I realized, holy, I can't see the road. I can hear it. I can hear cars. I can hear bikers. But I can't see the road. I can't see my bike either. Holy, no one can see me. Took a deep breath, and I thought to myself, okay, I can stay here and be found eventually, but there's no telling when I was going to be found. If I was never found, I've got to get up to sight of something. I've got to get to where I can signal for help, because I can't yell. I can scream, and that's basically what I did as I climbed up that ravine, as I climbed up the mountain, thinking my back was fine. I could move all my extremities. I just didn't know what I hurt. I did remember my back was hurting, but I didn't think I broke my back, like really. It just got louder and louder and louder as I was climbing up. In between that, I was screaming. Finally, I got up to the roadway, shuffled my way up. So as I was climbing up the mountain, the way I did it was I was on my side and I was crawling up, kind of like a military crawl, using my forearms and my knees just to crawl all the way up. Once I got up to the side of the road, I had to be on my side. And I was on my side and I was waving people down. About 4 or 5 cars passed. And no one saw me. No one stopped. I remember 1 or 2 motorcyclists go up and didn't see me. I don't blame any of them, because as you're turning right through that hairpin right, you're looking this way, not this way. This is where I was. This is where they were looking. Only a few minutes later, one of my now good friends, at the time I didn't know him very well, maybe said hi to him twice. He was coming down and saw me on the ground waving for help. So he rushes to me, asks if I'm okay. Eventually, he tells me to get on my back because he needs to neutralize the spine. He did ask me to take off my helmet, which I did refuse to do if it was my C-spine. If they did take off my helmet too early, I could have been paralyzed. Granted, I could have been paralyzed coming up the mountain. I waited about 45 minutes to an hour for the ambulance ride. As you can see right down here, one of the bikers up at the mountain had a dash cam running on his motorcycle, so he was able to record everything from the time that he arrived on my scene to after they took me away and after they took my bike out of the woods. It was about a 45 minute to an hour wait for the ambulance. This entire time I'm with people, I'm cracking jokes. I am just controlling my breathing, doing Lamaze, doing anything to prevent myself from hurting just as much as I am, and preventing my brain from processing just how much I'm freaking out. No one thought my injuries were this serious. Most of the people around me assumed that I had broken ribs, several broken ribs, because that's where I was hurting. I was hurting on both sides of my back, not my spine, but both sides. So everyone assumed that I had broken ribs. They tried to get me to stand. I was like, no. They put me in a C-spine once the paramedics came, put me on the stretcher, and then loaded me into the ambulance. In the ambulance, I was doing the same thing with the paramedic. I had forced him to talk to me the entire time I was in the ambulance to keep my mind off things. He ended up being a really weird guy, but really cool, but really weird. That was an interesting ride to the hospital. So I get to the hospital. Because of COVID, I wasn't able to have any visitors in the emergency room. Even when my husband had beat the ambulance to the emergency room, he wasn't with me, so that was sad. And then he wasn't able to see me until the second day after my surgery. In the emergency room, they pressed along my spine and nothing hurt, but they pressed on both sides of my spine and I was in immense pain. So they're like, okay, you probably have a few broken ribs. I went in to get my x-rays done and get my MRI done. The emergency room doctor comes back. I just want to let you know, you've got a broken back and you should never ride a motorcycle again. Talk about bad move. I went into hyperventilation mode. I could not catch my breath. I was bawling. I didn't know what to think. And all I wanted to do is get back on the bike. I had a burst fracture of T8. I had a stable fracture of T11. And then I had about 5 compression fractures between my thoracic portion of my spine and then the processes, which if you don't know what those are, if these are the vertebrae, these are the processes. The processes they don't surgically fix, but I had about 4 or 5 different fractures in the processes going down my thoracic spine. I had T7 through T9 fused, but none of the other compression fractures or T11 fracture were fixed. They were all stable. I go into my surgery the next day. I'm done. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. I did end up talking to my surgeon, and he said that he gets a lot of motorcycle injuries where he's at, and most of the motorcycle injury recipients get back on the bike. So that made me feel all the time better. So at that moment, I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride again. I don't care what I'm gonna have to go through. I'm gonna, just tough it out. And my number one goal is to get back on a bike. In fact, on my first post-op appointment, when I met my surgeon's PA, I asked him, when can I get back on the bike? And he said, in about 10 to 12 weeks after my accident. So there's your answer. It is now 87 days after my accident. I had my 3rd post-op appointment yesterday. This is the good news. He said that my x-rays look extremely well and said that it's safe to do whatever I want to do again. He knew that I was waiting for that approval to get back on the motorcycle. On top of that, 2 days ago, I was at physical therapy and my therapist was doing my follow-up to see how much strength I've gained since my first session. She said that I am doing remarkably well, and she didn't expect me to be this far along in the process. That's all good news. Why am I not on a motorcycle right now? Technically I am, actually. It's Athena's right here. She's perfect. She's got a few scratches and a lot of dents, but she's perfect in my eyes. I've decided that in 2 days, today's Friday, on Sunday, I'm going to go to the parking lot with my husband. For the first time, I'm going to sit in total control of my motorcycle without any assistance. I'm going to practice friction control. I'm going to really play with my throttle to make sure it's nice and smooth still. I might end up going up to 2nd gear in the parking lot. My biggest goal for Sunday is for me to be in a safe environment with my husband as support so I can be completely present with my emotions, because I don't want to go out with friends and then have an emotional breakdown while I'm on the street. I'm taking it very slow and I'm doing what I can, listening to my body. I'm listening to my feelings and my thoughts about it so I don't let fear control me. Yes, I'm afraid to ride this motorcycle right now. It's weird being on it and not having my brace on. I'm going to do what I need to do, take the small, gradual steps to get back on and to ride my own ride again and to go up to mountains again. all this being said, I have decided to start my YouTube channel. While I will be motovlogging, it's not going to only be motovlogging. I'm going to talk about recovering from an accident, how to avoid accidents. I'm going to talk about safety. I just want to help other people get over the fear and anxiety of riding a bike. I also want to do a lot of cool shit. So I figured now's the time to start my channel. You're kind of gonna see the process that I'm gonna go through, the journey that I'm gonna go through into finding myself and finding my way and really continuing on this journey and starting from fresh, because this accident really has done a lot to me physically, mentally, but also on the good side, it's had a lot of silver linings to it. And one day, I hope to share that with you. I'm really, really happy that you're here, and I'm really happy that you're watching this video, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to give me a few moments of your time and listening to my story. So yeah, I'm gonna put my anxiety goggles back on, so now I actually look at myself and how much of an idiot I am. Once again, thank you, and if you want to keep hearing my story, if you want to know more about my journey, if you want to see me do random and have fun, subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so you know when I upload videos. I'm going to try to do it every other Monday, and that's all I've got. Drop in the comments below and let me know, have you ever been in a motorcycle accident? Were you able to walk away? If you weren't able to walk away, let me know if you ever overcame your fear of riding again, if you had the fear of riding again, or you just hop back on. So yeah, thanks. I will see you guys later.